boys are right now clenching their pearls and asking themselves, did we bust too hard, too fast, and embarrass ourselves by running out of juice too quickly? As one Bitcoin chart shows us something extremely telling right now, we will answer the question, are the Moon Boys about to get dumped on, or is there hope left for the baby bulls? After receiving signals that Bitcoin would receive a baby dump, is Bitcoin out of the clear, or in fact, are we about to see a more sustained dumpulation over the next week to 2 weeks? This is extremely big. We have just a few weeks left of the year 2023, and people are asking themselves, will this be bullish? Will it be bearish? And will we end up seeing a 50K Bitcoin before a Bitcoin spot ETF approval, likely around the beginning of January 2024. So if you love gains and you love busting and you just don't even care who knows it, hit that like, hit that subscribe, and let's dump into what truly will be some completely mind-numbing data. So Bitcoin right now sits at a very key level. Over the past week, we've seen about a 10% reduction in Bitcoin's price, which is really nothing. In fact, even seeing 25 to 40% pullbacks in a Bitcoin bull market is routine. The 2017 Bitcoin bull run had I believe 6 to 7, 30 to 40% pullbacks, which was then followed by complete up only after those dumps. And as you can see on this chart here, there is a pretty big level of support, accumulated volume for Bitcoin. And unfortunately, if you don't think Bitcoin is going below 40K, this level of accumulated volume, this level of support is below 40K. It rests around the $37,000 to $38,000 price level for Bitcoin. You can see there is another pretty big chunk at around the $34.5 to $34,000 level. And the biggest chunk, the biggest support, the absolute biggest gargantuan level of accumulated volume and support rests down, you guessed it, around the $30,000 level for Bitcoin. So that all is to say, 30,000 is immense support. We don't even have to get into why exactly. I mean, it's pretty common knowledge, I believe, to the most bearish people, to the most bullish people. 30,000 is that giant flip we were waiting for that entire dumpy bear market. And flipping 30K was the biggest thing by far. Basically, ever since flipping then, I don't even see how it's possible to be bearish on this market for the next 6 to 12 months. This is going exactly as planned. And another big thing happening on these charts as well is that this year-long level of support, turn resistance, now hopefully having our first flip to support after flipping it from resistance, rests right around a little right now. It's ascending, so every day that goes by, it goes up a little bit. But right now, this price rests a little below 40,000 US dollars. So there is significant support below us. We have, at the time of me recording this video, there is no concrete reason to believe that Bitcoin is absolutely done dumping. There is a big event tomorrow. It will be getting the FOMC meeting. We got pretty right exactly as expected CPI today. Keep in mind, nobody's even talking about CPI on crypto Twitter really anymore because it doesn't really matter that much anymore. If we would rewind a year, it was all everyone was talking about. It was so hype. It was so exciting. Now that CPI, the FOMC meetings, nobody really cares that much. But we do have an FOMC meeting tomorrow. And, Powell will probably do what he has to do, which is to try to remain extremely hawkish because he doesn't want all these risk on assets pumping, even though he realizes that rate cuts are coming. And there's a really high likelihood there will not be a rate cut tomorrow. But coming in 2024, it seems exactly like what is to be expected. The stock market actually having some decent gains throughout the day. But specifically, we look at Bitcoin as it sits right here on top of the 21-day moving average, as we also just received this MACD bearish cross on the daily chart. It looks to me like, we could see some dumpiness over the next week or two for Bitcoin. But more importantly, what I really want to stress right now is that we can also have these momentum indicators and have Bitcoin price cool off by doing something that isn't dumping. It's called trading sideways. And trading sideways is by far the perfect, the best, the premium opportunity that altcoins usually take to provide massive gainers. So if Bitcoin, let's say Bitcoin does sit around 40 for the next 2 weeks, maybe it even goes down to 37, 38,000 in wicks and kind of just sits around those levels for a couple weeks. That to me is a very good opportunity for altcoins. And we're already seeing altcoins still take some opportunity to have gains still. Even today, there's some top alts not doing too bad, up a little bit. Yesterday, there was even some coins up a little bit. And especially even though Bitcoin has dumped about 10%, some altcoins are much higher than they were when Bitcoin was last at this price. So to reset some of these momentum oscillators, Bitcoin doesn't necessarily have to dump. It can also trade sideways. Also, Bitcoin is here. We're watching for this golden cross right here around right now. This cross is going to be happening right around the $30,000 level for Bitcoin. So very interesting to watch. I personally think that the downside is not necessarily over yet for the cryptocurrency market, but I don't necessarily think there's there absolutely is not, in my opinion, any reason to be panicking. In my opinion, these are literally just opportunities to be getting in, basically, for this upcoming bull run. One thing also very big I want to highlight is that over 70% of Bitcoin supply has not moved in at least 1 year, which Will Clemente says is a wild statistic on its own. But he says what's even crazier here is that when considering the context that a year ago was right after FTX went down, Bitcoin price has gone up nearly 3 times since then. So you can see this is the record. More people than ever are buying Bitcoin and holding on to it for long periods of time. All of that being said as well, we have the SEC continuing to meet. Today met with Franklin Templeton to discuss details of their Bitcoin spot ETF application, leading a lot of people to believe that we are going to be getting a spot Bitcoin ETF approval soon. I do think that, they're pricing it as like 90% by January 5th to January 10th. Bloomberg analysts, when I say they, that's what I'm talking about. So a lot of people, you see this all over CNBC and mainstream news outlets as well. A lot of people are looking for this date or even prior to it for Bitcoin spot ETF approvals. Really, though, it's most important to watch as Bitcoin potentially, we just put in our eighth green weekly candle in a row, which has only happened, I think, like one other time or something like that. I don't think Bitcoin has ever had 9 green weekly candles in a row. So that's why myself and other people were able to just so easily predict, okay, we're going to get a dump. We have to at this point. Doesn't make sense if we don't. So looking at this chart, we really zoom out and look at a weekly chart instead of the daily chart we were showing earlier. Again, 38,000 is a big level of support. We have massive support around that 30,000, which is also where some of the weekly moving averages are. We have the 2150 and 200 week moving average, all kind of right in between 32,000 and 28,000. The biggest weekly moving averages for Bitcoin, all within about a $4,000 range of each other. Getting below 30,000, in my opinion, I can't even imagine like the worst black swan. I think at that point, Bitcoin might get down to 30,000. You're talking about 20,000 or 10,000, knock it off. Okay, wake up. This is ridiculous. I cannot believe people are still so adamant about this. Anything is possible. I'll always say this. Technically, could Bitcoin go to $1? Well, actually, no, that isn't possible. I guess the world would have to explode or something. So yes, I guess it's possible. The point is, Bitcoin looks beautiful where it's at. And pulling back for the next week or two is, in my opinion, an opportunity for altcoins, or at least if Bitcoin stays sideways for the next week or two, an opportunity for altcoins. And if it does pull back, an opportunity to accumulate more Bitcoin for what is, in my opinion, undoubtedly going to be the biggest year Bitcoin has ever seen. 2024 is the year that the world adopts Bitcoin, in my opinion, or it truly becomes mainstream. And so far, I've been preaching the same thing for the past year, and so far, it's becoming more and more true. So far, these things have just been going exactly the way that I thought they would, and exactly the way that they would have to go for this to be a very, very bullish, exciting time for people who are interested in crypto and have been holding. And so far, everything has still been lining up to validate that. And it makes me more and more confident that the bust is coming. The bust is a must. And the bust will be bigger than anything you could ever imagine. And if you guys are interested in trading, accumulating altcoins, any trading bonuses, make sure to sign up with my links to Femex or BitGet below. It takes 30 seconds to sign up. And there are plenty of options, whether you want to trade spot, accumulate altcoins, whatever you want to do below. Without any further ado, it's for me.